Good morning. Let me ask you a question. What if you could transform your entire life, your mindset, your energy, your focus before 9 a.m.? Most people wake up already behind. They roll out of bed, grab their phone, and start reacting to the world. Emails, news, notifications. It's like starting a marathon by tripping over your own shoelaces. But what if your mornings weren't a race? What if they became your launch pad? Because here's the truth. How you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. The most successful, fulfilled, purpose-driven people don't leave their mornings to chance. They design them with intention. They know that consistency in the early hours leads to clarity in the hard hours. So today, I want to share 10 things you should do every morning to set your life on fire with purpose, direction, and passion. The first hour of the day is the most powerful and influential hour you have. It's your starting line, your personal space to declare how the rest of the day will unfold. Most people wake up and immediately give their power away by grabbing their phone, diving into emails, reacting to messages, or scrolling through social media. From the moment they open their eyes, they're already in defense mode, playing catch up and chasing demands that aren't even their own. But those who understand the true value of the morning don't treat it casually. They protect it with everything they have. They know that this sacred first hour is where leadership, confidence, and clarity are born. The way you wake up shapes your energy, and your energy influences every decision, every word, every relationship, and every opportunity you encounter throughout the day. When you start your morning with intention instead of chaos, you give yourself space to breathe, to think, to feel, and to prepare. You give your mind time to wake up gently instead of being jolted into action by noise and urgency. You give your heart the chance to set the emotional tone for the day. One rooted in purpose rather than panic. That first hour is your mental gym, your spiritual reset, and your emotional anchor. It's the difference between leading your day and being led by it. Winning the first hour doesn't mean doing everything perfectly. It means doing a few things intentionally. It's not about checking tasks off a list. It's about reminding yourself who you are, what you stand for, and why you woke up in the first place. In the quiet of the morning, before the rest of the world stirs, there is a sense of clarity that is hard to find at any other time of day. It's during this time that your mind is freshest, your soul is quietest, and your potential feels most within reach. This is when your goals feel possible, your vision feels vivid, and your discipline feels doable. It's a moment where fear hasn't yet crept in, where self-doubt hasn't taken over, and where your inner voice can actually be heard above the noise. That first hour is not just about productivity. It's about alignment. It's about checking in with your values, your mission, your direction. It's about shifting from autopilot to awareness, from reaction to response, from drifting to driving, even when things go wrong later in the day. And they will. Starting strong gives you an anchor to return to. It reminds you that you began with control, with focus, with presence. And that reminder is powerful. It can pull you out of chaos, out of anxiety, out of fatigue, because you've already set the tone. Winning that first hour doesn't require perfection, but it does require ownership. It requires the decision to put yourself in the driver's seat before life throws you into traffic. The first hour is your edge, your armor, your strategy. It's where momentum is created, identity is reinforced, and discipline is trained. It's not just a habit. It's your secret weapon for everything that follows. Every morning, you're given a choice to create or to react. Most people, without even realizing it, choose reaction by default. The moment they wake up, their attention is hijacked by messages, emails, headlines, and notifications. Their minds become flooded with other people's agendas before they've even had a moment to think for themselves. They enter the day already behind, already overwhelmed, already in someone else's story. And from that point on, they're not living deliberately. They're surviving reflexively. This is how most days spiral into stress and distraction. But it doesn't have to be that way. The shift begins when you consciously decide that you will no longer begin your day in response mode. You will start it on your own terms, driven by your own values, guided by your own clarity. Choosing action over reaction means carving out the time and space to define your priorities before the world defines them for you. It's about saying to yourself, I will decide what deserves my energy today. Instead of letting your phone dictate the first thoughts you think. You dictate them. You don't check your email. You check your mindset. You don't scroll through feeds. You scroll through your intentions. When you start your day with your own rituals, whether it's movement, journaling, meditation, or planning, you establish a powerful signal to your brain that you are in control. You are leading the day, not being led by it. It's not just about what you're avoiding, it's about what you're choosing to engage in instead. When you start with creation, your mental space is protected. Your inner world remains calm, composed, and capable. You set your emotional baseline on your terms rather than letting others dictate your emotional response. This puts you in a state of readiness. You don't panic when unexpected situations arise because you've already rooted yourself in purpose and direction. You become proactive instead of reactive, strategic instead of impulsive, grounded instead of scattered. And that difference shows up in everything from your productivity to your communication, from your creativity to your leadership. When you constantly start your mornings reacting, your nervous system gets stuck in a state of urgency. You develop a habit of firefighting rather than fireproofing. But when you replace that chaos with deliberate action, your energy flows where your intention goes. You conserve mental bandwidth. You guard your peace. You gain momentum. You make decisions from a place of clarity, not confusion. You become someone who sets the pace rather than struggles to keep up. Every time you act with purpose in the morning, you reaffirm your identity as someone who leads their life. You send a message to your mind and body that you are not a victim of external demands. You are a creator of internal power. This simple shift from reaction to action transforms your mornings from a blur into a breakthrough. It separates those who survive the day from those who shape it. It turns routine into ritual and chaos into clarity. Small wins may seem insignificant in the moment, but they are the building blocks of massive confidence. When you begin your day by stacking small victories, like making your bed, drinking a glass of water, stretching your body, or journaling a few lines, you're not just completing tasks. You're reinforcing a powerful message to your subconscious. I am someone who shows up for myself. These wins are more than check marks on a to-do list. They are symbolic gestures that reflect ownership, order, and forward motion. They tell your mind that you are in control, that you keep promises to yourself, and that you are capable of taking action even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. In a world where we're constantly chasing big breakthroughs, we often overlook the compounding power of small daily actions. We underestimate them because they're easy to do and equally easy not to do. But when done consistently, these simple habits become rituals of personal integrity. Every time you complete one, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. Confidence isn't built in grand moments. It's built in the quiet, repetitive choices that most people ignore. Making your bed may not change the world, but it changes how you see yourself in the world. Drinking water may not feel like a breakthrough, but it reminds your body and mind that you're worth taking care of. Writing down a goal may not seem transformative, but it strengthens your vision and aligns your attention with what truly matters. Small wins also create something called psychological momentum. When you start your day with one completed task, it creates a mental domino effect. You feel a sense of achievement, however minor, and that sense of progress fuels your desire to keep moving forward. You're more likely to tackle the next task with energy and focus because success, even in the smallest form, breeds motivation. Momentum doesn't come from waiting to feel inspired. It comes from doing something, anything, that nudges you forward. One step taken becomes a staircase climbed, and eventually a mountain conquered. And the best part, these small wins are entirely within your control. No permission is needed. No outside conditions must be met. They are yours to create every single morning. There's also a psychological effect of control that stems from these early accomplishments. When the world feels unpredictable and chaotic, small wins ground you in structure and predictability. They give you something so solid to hold on to. They restore your belief that progress is possible, that even in the middle of uncertainty, you can still take charge of how you show up. The repetition of these actions creates trust in yourself. And when you trust yourself, you begin to act differently. You speak up more, you pursue goals more boldly, and you carry yourself with an inner assurance that doesn't need external validation. The person who consistently honors the small things eventually becomes the person who can handle the big things. This is how self-respect is developed. Not in extraordinary moments, but in ordinary ones, done with extraordinary commitment. Your mind in the morning is a blank canvas, fresh and free from the noise that will inevitably flood in as the day progresses. It is in this vulnerable, fertile state that the first thoughts you allow in can either fuel your greatness or sabotage your clarity. Most people unknowingly feed their minds garbage first thing in the morning, scrolling through social media, reacting to notifications, absorbing negativity from headlines. Without realizing it, they allow the outside world to write the first chapter of their day. They invite chaos, comparison, distraction, and noise into their thoughts before they've even spoken a word to themselves. This isn't harmless. It's dangerous because what you allow into your mind first thing in the morning has a ripple effect that touches everything else. It affects your mood, your focus, your choices, your confidence, your inner dialogue. When you feed your mind junk, your mental operating system becomes cluttered, scattered, and reactive. But when you feed it intentionally, you activate clarity, courage, and confidence that will serve you all day long. Choosing to feed your mind before the world gets a chance to contaminate, it is a powerful act of self-leadership. It is the mental equivalent of locking your front door and protecting your home. Your thoughts are your home. Your focus is your sanctuary. You don't let just anyone barge in. And start shouting in your living room. So why do so many people let negativity storm into their minds the moment they wake up? Because they haven't yet understood the importance of being the gatekeeper of their own mind. When you wake up and deliberately feed yourself something uplifting, something empowering, something that aligns with your purpose, you create a mental environment where creativity, resilience, and optimism thrive. It could be reading a passage from a powerful book, writing a few lines in a journal, reviewing your goals, meditating on a positive affirmation, or even listening to a short podcast that inspires growth. Whatever it is, it should remind you who you are, what matters, and what you're working toward. Feeding your mind is not about blind positivity. It's about mental conditioning. Just like your body needs fuel to perform, your mind needs intentional input to remain sharp, resilient, and focused. Without it, your thoughts drift. You get pulled into narratives that don't serve you. You get reactive instead of reflective. You find yourself absorbing energy that isn't aligned with who you want to become. But when you make it a ritual to fuel your mind with intention, you begin to set the tone for the entire day. You give yourself an edge, a clarity that helps you cut through noise, a focus that filters distractions, a strength that stabilizes you through challenges. Every positive thought you put in becomes a brick in the mental foundation you're building. Every word of encouragement, every empowering belief, every reminder of your mission adds structure to your inner world. That structure becomes your strength when things try to shake you later. Gratitude is one of the most powerful forces a person can activate, yet it's often misunderstood as a soft or passive practice. In reality, gratitude is a mindset of strength. It is a deliberate choice to see abundance where others see lack, to find light where others find darkness, and to connect with purpose instead of pressure. The act of expressing gratitude in the morning isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about grounding yourself in what A is good, what A's working, and what is worth building upon. When you wake up and speak gratitude out loud, you shift your internal dialogue. You take control of the narrative in your mind, anchoring it in appreciation rather than anxiety. Most people start their day thinking about everything they've have to do, the obligations, the deadlines, the pressures. But when you begin with gratitude, you flip that perspective. Instead of waking up to burden, you wake up to blessing. Instead of focusing on what's missing, you focus on what's already present. That shift alone can change your energy, your attitude, and your ability to handle whatever the day throws at you. Gratitude isn't just a feel-good emotion. It's a powerful reframe. It teaches your brain to scan for the positive, to recognize progress, and to hold space for hope. And the moment you speak it out loud, you give it power. You give it life. You make it real. Saying thank you in your mind is a start, but speaking, it adds a new dimension. When your ears hear your own voice acknowledging the good in your life, the impact deepens. It rewires your emotional state and calibrates your mental focus. You begin to realize that even in the chaos, there is something steady. Even in the struggle, there is something sacred. Gratitude spoken aloud becomes a declaration of resilience, a signal to your nervous system that you are not in survival mode. You are in stewardship mode. You're not just getting through the day, you're honoring the opportunity to live it with depth, presence, and perspective. It's easy to underestimate this habit because of its simplicity. But make no mistake, gratitude is a high performance strategy. It keeps you from spiraling into negativity. It strengthens your emotional core. It improves your ability to lead, connect, and create. Leaders who express gratitude regularly are more empathetic, more focused, and more equipped to influence others. Gratitude brings you back to the center of your purpose. It reminds you of the people who believe in you, the lessons you've learned, the progress you've made, and the future you're building. It roots you in something bigger than your current circumstances. Whether you're grateful for your health, your family, your opportunities, or even your failures, each word you speak becomes a brick in the foundation of your emotional resilience. It becomes part of your daily armor, allowing you to face challenges without losing sight of what you're fighting for. There is a unique kind of clarity that comes from asking yourself a simple, powerful question each morning. Who needs me at my best today? This question immediately shifts your mindset from inward to outward, from self-centeredness to service, from survival mode to leadership mode. It reorients your thoughts, priorities, and energy toward impact rather than obligation. Instead of simply going through the motions of your routine, you begin to think intentionally about how your presence, your decisions, and your attitude will affect the people around you. It becomes a daily reminder that your life is not just about what you get done, but about who you lift, who you influence, and who you lead by the way you show up. When you wake up with this question at the forefront, you stop seeing your goals as isolated pursuits and begin to view them through the lens of contribution. You understand that your discipline isn't just for you. It's for the team that counts on you, the family that watches you, the community that is influenced by your example. You realize that your mindset in the morning will either empower or diminish someone else's experience. And that truth is incredibly motivating. It gives your daily habits a deeper meaning. Eating healthy, exercising, focusing on your work, managing your emotions, showing patience, maintaining integrity. All of it becomes less about self-improvement and more about the value you're able to give to the people around you. This shift also creates a higher level of accountability. When you see yourself as someone who must show up strong, not just for yourself, but for others, the excuses begin to fade. The temptation to slack off weakens. Worth, because now you're not just letting yourself down, you're letting someone else down too. And when you begin to live with that level of purpose, you start building an identity that is rooted in responsibility, generosity, and impact. You no longer wake up asking, "Ooh, how much can I get done today?" You start asking, "Ooh, how can I show up with strength, presence, and clarity for the people who need me most?" This single question also helps clarify your priorities. In the rush of daily tasks, it's easy to become distracted by what feels urgent but isn't truly important. But when you ask who needs you at your best, your attention sharpens. Maybe it's a teammate going through a difficult time. Maybe it's a child who needs encouragement. Maybe it's a client waiting for guidance. Maybe it's your own future self who's depending on you to make wise choices today. Whoever it is, that awareness creates direction. It grounds your actions in empathy and purpose. It reminds you that leadership isn't about position. It's about presence. The strength you bring to your morning becomes the strength others draw from when they interact with you. This mindset also helps you develop resilience. When your purpose is tied to service, obstacles lose some of their power. Challenges become more manageable because your reason for pushing through them is greater than your discomfort. You don't quit when things get hard. You rise because someone is counting on you to rise. Worth. You don't skip the hard conversations. You lean into them because clarity helps others grow. And every day you ask that one question, you reinforce the truth that your greatness is not measured by your ambition alone, but by the lives you touch, the burdens you ease, and the courage you help awaken in others.